alignment. Okay, it really is the holy grail of organizational success. But really, we need to talk about what it is, but we'll get to that. All right, so the cost of being unaligned, and I don't even know if that's a word. All right, but you think about it. There's several levels of being unaligned, so to speak, but on the surface, the cost is, you have different systems in different departments, and different departments that communicate differently, or different, just even different teams in the same department that just do things differently, and they don't have processes, and they don't necessarily know what the plan is or what the goal is. All that adds a lot of logical problems for everybody to get through, and it slows things down. You think about it, like, I don't know if you've ever seen a row a rowing team, a really good top-notch rowing team on a river in a race. It's amazing to behold, and if you see it, you are watching alignment, okay? Because they can fly down that river straight as an arrow. It's amazing. They glide across it. It almost looks effortless, but it's obviously not. But no, it's incredible. Well, think about when I say the surface level cost of being unaligned. Say you throw one of those boats out there and it has 8 rowers, but they all have a different length oar or a different width oar, whatever it may be. And then you have another boat out there with 5 rowers, but they have good, consistent equipment. It's all the same oar in the boat. The the 5 rowers are going to smoke the 8 rowers, simply because with all that different equipment, they're never going to be able to go straight and things along those lines. It's really tough. That's what I mean by the surface cost. Okay, but there's a much higher cost. The really big cost of being unaligned comes in the what I call the emotional level. So let's imagine, just think about it. When you're, let's say a decision's made or a plan is set forth, and we don't really know for sure who's on board with the plan, and some people are on board with parts of it and not on board with the other. And the level of commitment and things along those lines varies quite a bit from person to person. Well, now constantly, through every step of the way, in every implementation stage, we have to sit there and think, well, who's going to come out and support this? And is it, will they get it done on time? And it becomes this constant struggle in our minds when we think about, okay, who am I going to sign this task to because they actually will want to do it, or all that type of stuff. That price tag is so high because you see, energy and time are these limited resources we all have, and we can't just go and buy more. All right, it just doesn't work that way. So anytime that is tapped away, that really is a zero-sum game, because you cannot just magically get more energy. And all that thinking, it is frustrating, it's exhausting. And don't tell me you don't know this. You understand it. It just makes it saps the life out of the room, out of the plan, and out of the organization. Okay, so that's the emotional cost of it. All right. So what are we going to, and that's huge. And we can't imagine, if you have the surface level cost and the emotional cost, what's that impact on the bottom line? I don't think it's measurable. My experience has been when a team goes from being unaligned to being what I call team aligned, then the differences between 100 and 400% on the bottom line. I know that sounds huge, but that's my experience, and I realize it's just anecdotal. I don't have a study to back that up, but it's monstrous. Okay, so how do we get aligned? How do we go about doing this? Well, the first thing we have to understand is what alignment is. Okay, at least at Arena Success Group, what we call alignment. There are 3 levels of alignment. All right. There is exterior alignment. That is, you look like you're aligned on the outside. Your branding's good. It's all consistent. Everything's neat. But really on the inside, people aren't sure what the organization's all about, what they're doing, when they're doing it, or any of those types of things. It's kind of all over the board. Okay? And it's kind of a mess. And that is very unaligned. It's very unhealthy. Okay? So, and then on the next level, this is what we call systematic alignment. All right. So when you're systematically aligned, it means that you do know what the organization is about, and you have systems that promote that, and you know what your measurements of success are, and you know what projects are promoting what measurements of success, and you have it, and it is a huge step forward, and it will benefit. It's not achieved by lots of organizations, but it could be. It's systematic. Like I say, it's a huge step forward because you do know, what actions are promoting what good outcomes and how to get there and those types of things. It's very, very good. But that's not the Holy Grail, all right? The Holy Grail of alignment is what we call team alignment. Now, team alignment is entirely different. I shouldn't say it's entirely different, but it is really, okay? That is, well, to understand it, you have to understand something called the concept of the decision line. So let's imagine you're in a room and there's this line down the center of the room, and you have to make a decision. And at one point, the decision's not made, so the entire team is on one side of the line, okay? And on that side of the line, they passionately discuss and argue about what the different possible plans should be and the ideas. They're passionate about it. There is conflict. Good leaders mind that conflict, because if you don't get it out on that side of the line, people will feel unimportant. They'll feel left out. They won't support it when it goes over to the other side of the line. It's so good for a team to be able to passionately disagree. It's critical. Okay? So on that side of the line, they're passionately arguing this thing out, and then the team captain makes a decision. They make a call. This is what we're going to do. Now, everybody on the team moves to the other side of the decision line because the decision's been made, all right? On that side of the line, they passionately support the decision, and they do it regardless of whether they supported the decision, whether they believed in the decision. Maybe they thought it was a terrible decision, but it doesn't matter. They're part of this team. They are dedicated to this team. As long as it's not immoral or unethical, they move over to that side. They passionately work to make that decision a success. And that is what separates the pros from the amateurs, and the winners from the losers. The ability to say, we're going to make this team succeed because we're going to passionately support that decision. Now, that makes a huge difference, but we don't really comprehend how big a difference it makes until we realize that in most organizations, you see, in all organizations, a bad decision that has a lot of support will succeed ahead of a really, really good decision that has little support. So that means when a leader is trying to make a decision, they have to think and decide, well, what's popular? They don't make every decision based on what's best. They make it based on what's popular. And it is so common and so well accepted that it's even thought of in a lot of circles as the right way to do things. It's not, okay? But when you're the captain of a team that is aligned, has team alignment, as I just described it, you know you can make what you believe is the best decision, even if it's not the most popular decision, and it will get full support on the other side of the decision line. And so then, when you know that happens, one, you can make great decisions. Two, all that emotional cost we were talking about, that goes away. People aren't wondering every day about who's going to support what. We don't have to negotiate this minefield of ho-humness and rethink every decision at every level and for every task and for every person that's assigned to it. We don't have to do any of that. Okay? Because we can just make decisions, and go. We can move at the speed of trust. It's a fascinating thing when you see it happen. If you've never seen it happen, you can barely comprehend it. You probably can't comprehend it. It is amazingly beneficial. So really, team alignment, it equals better decisions, better teammates, better companies, better lives, and yeah, better profits. Thank you. And we do have to talk about that team captaincy thing, but that'll be another blog.